بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Inshallah, bifadlillah, we will be covering the text al-Ashmaawiyyah, Matn al-Ashmaawiyyah في العبادات على مذهب السادات المالكية, a Matn that is called al-Ashmaawiyyah, which covers the ibadah or the issues of worship according to the madhab of Imam Malik, written by a Sheikh Abdul Bari al-Ashmawi al-Rifa'i, and he was one of the Maliki scholars. The later scholars, not much of the books talk about his when he lived and when he died, but he was definitely one of the later scholars, maybe somewhere between the 10th and the 12th century after Hijrah. And his name was Abdul Bari al-Ashmawi, and the name al-Ashmawi is because he comes from a city called Ashma', which is located in Egypt around Cairo in a district called al-Manufiyya. And the last part of his nasab, which is called al-Rifa'i, is an indication of the tariqah that he followed. And so he followed the tariqah of a sheikh named Ahmed ibn Hussein al-Rifa'i, who died 565 in 565, or 570 after Hijrah in Iraq. So that was the tariqah of tasawwuf that the author followed. So as I mentioned before, there's not much said about the author himself, but it is known that his book was used much by the ulama. For this reason, we have commentaries on it, and we have numerous commentaries, and we have also numerous commentaries, or we have famous commentaries written on those commentaries. So the text itself covers the areas of purification, fasting, and prayer. And in most cases, the reason why he covers these three as an introductory book is because these are the three things that no Muslim can live without knowing. So for this reason, he based his Matn on this, and this text is actually a very basic text with that focuses on the fundamentals of the main elements of worship. And so it is a bit more primary than al-Khattab, the Maliki Fiqh text al-Khattab, although it has some other things in it that al-Khattab doesn't have, and it also repeats the same things that al-Khattab has, but in some cases they'll be repeating the same issue, but looking at it from a different angle. So studying numerous texts brings a lot of benefit to the student, even if there's some repeat in the text. So the basics, we could say that the purpose of the text in general is to give a person an idea of the basic essentials of worship according to the madhab of Imam Malik. So the intention, in terms of intention, a person should have the intention to rectify their worship. That is the reason why we study fiqh, to rectify our worship. Also, one should also have the intention of using their time in the path of Allah. So not necessarily just for accumulating the knowledge, but also spending one's time doing things that please Allah. So studying this text in itself is a form of worship. So a person should also have that intention while they're studying. In terms of benefit, a person reaps benefit, because in reality, by studying these texts, what they're actually doing is they're learning how to perfect their worship through a way that has been passed down through transmission by outstanding experts in the field who had a clear understanding concerning the application of the book and the sunnah. So, in reality, the book and the sunnah, meaning the Quran and the sunnah, needs an interpreter, because they do not interpret themselves in essence. For example, we need learned people who interpret them. So when it comes to following the book and the sunnah, the question that has to be asked is, you are following the book and the sunnah according to who? So by following the school of Imam Malik or any of the four Imams, you are following a long chain of narration, and not just any narration, but the narration of experts who understood the book and the sunnah and its application. So, in reality, when you're learning this actual text of al-Ashmaawiyyah, what you're in fact doing is you're learning a simplified explanation of how to practice the Quran and Sunnah according to the understanding of Imam Malik, which Imam Malik himself learned from those scholars of Medina, who learned from the companions, who learned from the Prophet ﷺ directly. And so these chains of narration have been passed down, and they have been preserved, and they have been critically analyzed. And so by learning these things, learning the text such as this one can be sure that what they're learning and what they're practicing is sufficient in order to rectify their worship. So inshallah, we'll benefit a lot from this course, and it is the job of the student to be consistent and to straighten out their intention, and to make sure that they understand what it is that they're studying. And when they don't understand what they're studying or what they're hearing in the audio, then they should ask questions. So we'll just take a basic walk through the introduction. So it says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. فالشيخ الإمام العالم العلامة عبد الباري الأشماوي الرفاعي رحمه الله تعالى. So it says, my bad, it says قال الشيخ, يعني it says the Shaykh, the Imam, the Alim, which means the learned, the Alamatu, which means somebody who's, يعني Alama means يعني كثير العلم, يعني a person who has lots of knowledge, Abdul Bari al-Ashmaawiyyah al-Rifaa'iyyah rahimahullahu ta'ala. What did he say? سألني بعض الأصدقاء أن أعمل مقدمة في الفقه على مذهب الإمام مالك بن أنس رضي الله عنه. He said that some of my friends asked me to make an introductory book, يعني مقدمة, يعني a basic essential book in في الفقه على مذهب الإمام مالك ibn Anas, according to the madhab of Imam Malik ibn Anas radiyallahu anhu. Alright, so his friends asked him to compile a book, and usually they ask him specifically because they respect him for the knowledge that he has gained, or he's known to be a person of knowledge amongst the people, and so they asked him to compose a book. So he said, فَأَجَبْتُهُ, and so I responded. But he's going to mention to why I responded, meaning I composed the book based upon their request. إِلَى ذَلِكَ رَاجِيًا لِلثَّوَابِ, yani in hope that I might get the reward. Not in hope that my name might be remembered or that my name might be recalled, but in order that I might get the reward from Allah Azza wa Jal. And so that is the basis of the Muqaddimah. And so the book is going to move on after that, to move on to the section of Nawaqid al-Wudu, and then all the way through the basics of purification. And then after we finish the section on purification, Then we will move on into the section of prayer, and then after prayer, inshallah, he will move on to the section of fasting, and then that will sum up the elementary book al-Ashmaawiyyah, rahimahullah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. And inshallah, may Allah make this course of benefit in rectifying your worship and bringing you closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.